Despite numerous challenges and constraints, the Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, took a bold decision to provide shelter to such a huge number of forcibly displaced Myanmar nationals on humanitarian consideration. That one decision saved lives and averted a major security crisis for the region. Close to 750,000 people running for their lives could have destabilized the entire region with far-reaching consequences had Bangladesh Prime Minister not decided to open the borders.
That every year 30,000 babies are coming up, So last 5 years you can see almost 1.5 lakh people have been added to the old inventory of 1.1 million. And this is a continuous process. You really can't stop because they have nothing to do, So that's another aspect which is going on there. So number is increasing, and also some of their relatives are trying to cross over to Bangladesh. Although border guard is there, but I don't think it's as effective as it should be. Other than that, I would say that Rohingyas are having a peaceful life there. They are provided with all other facilities, including schooling, whatever form of schooling you need.
Well, the appeals for humanitarian assistance and aid were met in the early years, at least a good percent. What often happens is there are pledges made, and then the question is how quickly and fully do countries fulfill those pledges. And in the early years of the Rohingya crisis, the response was good. The appeals were large, and the response was good, and the pledges were being met at the rate of something like 70-75%, which is high. But with the pandemic, and the international community's attention turning to that and all of the humanitarian issues associated with that, there does seem to have been a drop in the level of support for assistance to Bangladesh and to those who are trying to manage the refugee camps in Bangladesh. I'm not sure what the answer is other than to make sure that those who are being targeted for the assistance are countries that are likely to be receptive. And what I don't know is whether, for example, other Muslim countries have been responsive. There are some wealthy Muslim countries in the Middle East, and as we just discussed, the Organization for the Islamic Conference was one of the groups that co-sponsored this resolution. So I wonder whether there might be more untapped resources there if targeted efforts were made to appeal to them, targeted efforts made to appeal to individual donors as opposed to government donors. But this is a challenge because there are heavy demands on donors to deal with humanitarian crises all around the world, and it's sometimes difficult to sustain the level of interest in one particular crisis. But there's no question whatsoever that the Rohingyas in the camps and Bangladesh's really impressive efforts to try to manage this unprecedented, virtually unprecedented refugee flow is impressive and deserves support. And I think that the trick is just to find the countries and find the donors that are willing to prioritize that as opposed to other humanitarian crises that they're looking at.
Possible that Bangladesh could work with international donors to make this crisis, this refugee crisis, into an opportunity for development of the area, for building up the town and supporting the town of Cox's Bazar and other nearby towns, and to use this as an opportunity for development. And we have seen in some of the camps around Cox's Bazar that all kinds of innovations have taken place around housing construction, around livelihood opportunities, and other new innovations that in some cases have been brought by the refugees themselves, and in other cases by international organizations. But to me, making efforts and supporting refugees and host population together to find a way for them to live there in some way that works for everybody, that is the most realistic outcome and solution. Is an example of where the Global Compact on Refugees, which was the new compact, which is very much about trying to share the burden with receiving states like Bangladesh. That's where Bangladesh can really push the donors, the UN agency, to say, you have signed this compact to say that you should be sharing the burden. Here is an opportunity to share the burden and to help the people of Cox's Bazar in this broader area to absorb.
Sheltering over 1 million refugee-like populations is not easy for any nation, and Bangladesh, being a developing country with severe space and resource constraints, the challenge was enormous. Yet Bangladesh managed the humanitarian crisis with courage and compassion. However, Bangladesh cannot bear this enormous burden for an indefinite period. At present, around 2.65 million Rohingyas are residing in various countries around the globe, while only less than 500,000 still remains in Myanmar at internment-like camps or in similar condition. If the security situation and overall condition in Rakhine State do not improve significantly in the near future, the remaining Rohingyas might get compelled to take refuge in other countries.